Jim.
Kayleigh, you mentioned Dr. King. He likely would not have approved of what took place Monday evening across from the White House, as you probably know. If the White House president and his team had to do it all over again, would you have gassed and pummeled protesters to clear the park so the president could have a photo op?
So let me first address no tear gas was used and no rubber bullets were used. So again, no tear gas was used, no rubber bullets were used.
Why making that distinction? Chemical agents were used.
Let me back up.
We talked to an Episcopal priest who said she was gassed. Others say they were tear gassed in that area.
Well, no one was tear gassed. Let me make that clear. That's been confirmed by DOD and by Park Services as well. So let me go back and address what happened, because there's been a lot of misreporting. First, I would note that these protests that were going on in the morning, AG Barr had determined that we needed to expand the perimeter by 1 block on each side. He was surprised, AG Barr, when he arrived at the White House to see that that perimeter had not been moved. So he said that we needed to get going with moving that perimeter. He told the officers that out there. That was late afternoon. So that decision was made in the morning, first of all. The protesters were told 3 times over loudspeaker that they needed to move, and what happened was it grew increasingly unruly. There were projectiles being thrown at officers, frozen water bottles were being thrown at officers, various other projectiles, and the officers had no other choice than in that moment to act and make sure that they were safe and that the perimeter was pushed back, because as we all know, a church was burning in that very area the night before. So the appropriate action was taken. It was burning the night before, which enforced the decision to move the perimeter on each side by a block, so that church would no longer be in harm's way by the rioters. But it's absolutely uncalled for to throw bricks, absolutely uncalled for to throw water bottles that are frozen at police officers.
Don't you agree, Kayleigh, that the vast majority of those protesters were doing so peacefully, and that many of them did not hear those warnings and were simply just pushed out of the way, just forced out, pummeled out of the way by their fellow Americans, police officers? You sent in members of the military to deal with this. I mean, what do you say to Americans who look at what happened on Monday and find that to be appalling?
Well, let me note that the National Guard was utilized across Washington, D.C. The military was not. There is a distinction, and I would say that it is uncalled for to throw bricks at officers, uncalled for to throw frozen water bottles at officers, and they also had received intelligence that there were calls for violence against police officers, and they found caches of glass bottles, baseball bats, and metal poles hidden along the streets. When an officer is at risk, they have the right to defend themselves. They did so peaceably. There were no fatalities, no severe injuries.
You do it again.
To protect the lives of officers, they have a right to defend and to protect themselves.
I was an assistant press secretary to Kayleigh McEnany in the White House. I remember this briefing like it was yesterday. I remember this news cycle like it was yesterday. And the media's lies and their manipulation of the story, the truth, what actually happened. They only care about pushing their agenda. They don't care about truth. They don't care about facts. That's why when you talk to the media or just the Democrats in your own life, take a page out of Kayleigh's book, no pun intended. Come with the receipts, come with the facts, and you'll always win.